So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the West LA Democratic Club annual meeting for 2024, where we will be electing our officers for the next year and our members at large, and hearing from the first round of judicial candidates. And very exciting because you know how important the our judges are, and we only have to look at the Supreme Court to figure that one out. So I'm Cara Robin. I'm the president, and I think most of you know me. But before we get down to the business of the day, I really would like for all of us to take a moment to reflect on gratitude, something that we personally are grateful for when we see what's going on all around the world with so much devastation and suffering. We just don't even want to turn on the TV anymore. What's going on in our own country, the homelessness in our city, people just not really at the best place in their lives. And of course, the imminent danger of losing our democracy. So in this moment, I'd ask you all to take a deep breath, close your eyes, and just take 10 seconds of quiet reflection. I'm starting now. Okay, thank you. Let you know this is how I begin my day every day, and it really makes me feel good. So we know we have so much work to do in these 8 months leading up to the election. Our club has begun some work. We've been sending postcards to New York 3 to elect Tom Suozzi, re-elect actually, before he ran for governor. He was the congressman from that district. Well, it's been redistricted, but he was the congressman and he's very well known. So we hope that he'll be elected to replace that horrible Santos. And we'll be ramping up our own work. We have a lot of new board members. We have new venues. We have places to actually gather and do the work before we get into our headquarters. There are a couple of headquarters we'll be joining in with. And there's a lot of work for us to do, and through the headquarters and also independently as a club. What I'm really excited about is taking vans down to, or up to, I guess it is 27, Congressional District 27, where George Whitesides is running to replace Mike Garcia. And I think George has an amazing chance. Actually, there is going to be a fundraiser coming up shortly that I'm a co-host of, and that I'll be sending an email out to you all maybe tomorrow night. And for the first 15 members, that is, dues paying members of the club who respond to my email, we will have a special members price, which will be very generous. And I'm happy about that. They were very generous with us for that. And we'd also like to take vans to other contested races. And one of them I'm looking forward to is going down to Palm Springs and seeing what's going on with the Will Rollins election. So I want y'all to join us. We'll make this work. We really want to do a big part with our club this year. It's really important, and the more of you that join in the effort, the better it is for all of us. I want to just announce our membership now is 197. We're slowly getting back to all the members that we lost during COVID. We lost actually 2 years worth of members, maybe 75 to 100 members that weren't advised and didn't get to renew their memberships, and they're coming back. So I'm happy. 3 more. If any of you are on the call and not members, we only need 3 more to hit 200. Our finances now, we have $9,357 in our federal account and 1,385, I'll say 86 in our state account. Almost all of the money goes to support candidates. Traditionally, we give our money to the Senate candidates, but lately we've also been supporting congressional candidates, mainly Southern California candidates that we think really will make a huge difference. Still mostly with Senate. Mark Salzberg, who is our Senate maven here, almost every month sends out an updated report of what's going on in the Senate, who we should be looking at, who perhaps we should be supporting. So I think that I will start posting these on the e-letters that go out to y'all, so you'll know what's going on, not just our executive board. What we're going to start next is I want to introduce you to Alan Bale, who is our immediate past president, immediate being like almost, what, 14 years or 13 years ago. Anyway, Alan will be leading our club elections piece, our officers and member at large piece of the day. And I will step down as chairing the meeting because I'm running. And so I want to now introduce you to Alan Bale, and he'll take it from here. Wait, let me do this, the speaker views. So Alan, you want to get on?
I am here.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome here from my beautiful estate in the south of France. The weather is lovely. Okay, I'm not really in the south of France, but we, as Cara really covered it, we're coming into just a massively important election season, and the Congress, the Senate, the presidency are all of vital importance to maintaining a democracy on top of everything else. It really, we're making decisions that will affect the world and affect our future and those who come beyond us. So it really, the folks that we have in positions or are going to have in positions on the board, it's very important that we have good people and trusted people and people that are willing to do whatever work is necessary to keep things going in the right direction. So our candidates, our first candidate is for none of these seats are contested at this point, and the time for nominations or throwing one's hat in the ring has passed. But if somebody wants to get up and start yelling, then we can deal with that. But the people that we have running, start with President Cara, as you mentioned, has held this position now for what, 14 continuous years? Is that right?
I don't know.
Something like that. Quite a while.
I started maybe in 2008 or 9 after Kelly and took a little break there, and I'm back.
And so Cara is running for re-election and as president. And Cara, do you want to say a few words about yourself or what
Well,
you
I
hope
think
to
most
do,
of
other
you
than
know.
what you've already said?
Yeah, I think most of you know me. I just want you to know I really do really love this club and sort of leading it the best I can, and keeping us viable. But I wouldn't mind if someone else felt like stepping up because I'm going to be a grandma. Okay, so next, thank you. You can drop me out.
Thank you, Cara. I don't think I have that capability, or at least no. There we go. We have somebody new to the board that would be new to the board running for our position as vice president political, and that's Matthew Diamond. And would you like to say a few words about yourself? You're muted.
Apologies there. I'm Matthew Diamond, and I'm one of the founders of the West LA Democratic Club. I've come back after raising my kids and working as a VP of a large nonprofit cancer charity here in Los Angeles, helping hundreds of people dealing with cancer. Over the years, I've worked with a number of Democratic political leaders, Waxman, John Lee, and a number of LA City Councilmen. It's very simple. The ballot initiatives are in front of us could not be more important to forward our cause. And it's, of the highest importance is to strengthen democracy and defeat Trump. That's the bottom line for me.
Thank you, Matthew. Running for VP of Operations is not a newcomer to the position. Ingrid Van Eckert. Ingrid, would you like to say a few things?
Hi. Yes. I would like to continue. Sorry, my Zoom just went out.
We see you.
Oh, that's so weird. Okay. Anyway, I would like to continue as VP Operations. As you probably know, I put together our events, and that includes virtual events, forums, as well as our parties. And I love being Kara's right-hand person. I still really enjoy working for the club and getting Democrats elected. Not much else to say there other than we have to win.
Thank you, Ingrid. Running or seeking the position of Vice President Communications is Jack Pritchett. And
I don't see Jack on. Jack, are you on?
I'm here.
Oh, hold on, let me find you, then I'll spotlight you.
Okay. Should I start, Alan?
Well, let's wait till we can
Oh,
see you.
let's see, yeah.
See you, Jack.
Jack, say something again, because then
I
I
have
can.
Jack.
Yeah,
I have Jack.
Barbara just
Yeah,
arrived.
almost.
Oh, hi, Mary.
Yeah, how Mary got on.
Yeah, Mary
Hi,
Jack.
Mary.
Jack.
Okay, I'm supposed to be talking.
Okay.
You're under Barbara.
Yeah,
Hi, everyone.
That's why. Sorry.
Uh-oh, I
Are
guess
we
Barbara's
ready to
gonna
go
be
now?
Good. We're good.
okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm Jack Pritchett. A lot of you know me. I've been a member of the club since 2004. Haven't really held offices there, but for 19 years, I worked for TRW. That's the company that made the James Webb Space Telescope, which I'm very proud of. As senior communications manager, I've written lots of magazine articles, and I ended up doing the public relations. So communications is something that I did professionally for many, many years. And I would love to do it for the club. I think this year is when we all have to work and give our most.
You are so right, Jack. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. And then for some reason, my notes, I don't show the position that is being sought by Mike Newhouse.
No, that is that's a
Oh, that's a committee?
chair, yeah.
Committee chair?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well-
Mike. You're gonna have to hold on. But we will have a chance to meet our committee chairs in just a minute. The next position is treasurer. Yeah.
And
Susan Blount.
Susan, you have to start your video for us to be able to spotlight you.
You can show us a video of whatever you'd like, but you need to have the video on. And Susan has been our treasurer for quite some time and done a great job of keeping things straight.
There she is. Yay.
Hi, Susan.
And I don't really have anything to say. There's nothing to really say about the treasurer's job.
Well, you do a great job, Susan. Without you, where would our books be?
Thank
Okay.
you, Susan. Secretary is seeking another term is Kelly Willis.
How you doing, all? I've been doing this for a while. I'm a past president, so I kind of know how everything works. And we need to have minutes for the meetings because it's kind of a requirement to maintain our fiscal and our fiscal status with the financial institutions where we keep our money, as well as with the FEC and the various councils that license us to be a Democratic club in the state of California. So it's important to do, and I'm happy to do it.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yep.
We also have 3 members at large who take on different commitments through the year and provide their support and knowledge and energy to the board and the club. There you go, Sue. Himmelrich is seeking the position. Sue, muted. You're muted. There you go.
Now, here we go. I'm Sue Himmelrich. I'm an attorney at Western Center on Law and Poverty. Been working on democratic issues since 1970, when I worked on a gun control campaign in Maryland. And since then, I have worked on various voter protection across the country. I know a lot of you, but not all of you. I look forward to getting to know all of you, but I've worked with Kara for 14 years, I guess. So it's nice to be here.
Yeah, love having you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Sue. And I've been. Oh, I understand that your house is going to be the site of our summer party. I don't know if you knew that.
I did know that. I volunteered when I heard that the last party would the site was being sold. So I did volunteer. I've done a lot of events here, and we always open our house to everybody. I expect to be open for phone banks, for the party. We've done this every election. So.
And yeah, unfortunately, I had to leave the old house behind, but and now I have to suffer with living in Santa Monica.
Oh no!
I know.
Don't out me. Don't out.
I won't out you. Okay.
Thank you.
I won't out you. Let's see. Louis Watanabe is our second of 3, or there, whatever. Folks seeking to be a member at large again, and Louis you see everywhere, and is so active. Good to see you here. Take it away, Louis.
Yeah, well, good morning. So I like to manage the Facebook page and beat off the trolls that keep trying to come in. Let's see. So I'm also kind of the interfaith guy on the board. And I get around, and as you can see, that sometimes I record protests on our Facebook page. So anyway, and I attribute that all to having been on the UCLA Daily Bruin. Go Bruins!
Go Bruins.
Well, thank you very much.
And then Jane Wishon is also seeking to be a member at large. And Jane, what do you have to say? And you're muted.
Hi, yes, I know. I was muted. You know, you would think after all these years of COVID, we would all remember the whole mute and unmute thing, but you know, here it goes. Hi, I'm Jane Wishon. I think some of you know who I am. I'm active in the Democratic Party at the state and county level, as well as I'm the chair of the West Side Democratic Headquarters. And I'm really excited to be increasing my involvement here with West LA Dem Club because I live in West LA. I won't out you, Alan, but I live in West LA and this is my home club. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jane. And I'm just, so impressed by the quality of the folks that are on the board and seeking to be on the board. I think it's great for the club and great for our community and beyond. And then Cara, would you, I guess, should we do the election and then we'll have the introduction of the committee members?
Yes, please.
Okay. So is there a motion to accept the nominees for these positions by acclamation?
I move, Marcia.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Second.
And who shall we say seconded that?
Matthew Diamond.
Let's not have you because you're a candidate,
Okay.
but is there another?
I second it. Connie Thomas.
Hi, Connie. Thank you.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the nominees are elected by acclamation. Thank you all, and
All right.
back to the meeting, the rest of the meeting.
Hey, Alan, who moved that? I apologize.
Marcia Henderson.
Marcia. Okay, thank you. I'm already playing secretary.
We're recording it, so that's okay.
I know.
Okay, well, great. Thank you so much, Alan. I really appreciate that. I'd like to, could Jane, could you spotlight, join all the new officers and all in
Put
this
all
one?
of us up at one time.
Yeah, it's gonna be crowded, but that's okay. I mean, I can help. Yeah, there's Ingrid. Okay, political. She's our operations VP. Here's Sue Himmelrich, a new member at large. Where's the rest? Yeah, Lewis, member at large. Jane, VP political. I mean, member at large. Sorry, like she's been our acting VP political and is doing an amazing job. Here's Jack Pritchett, who's our new VP comms, and Susan Blanchard, our continuing treasurer.
Who am I forgetting here?
Kelly
Kelly
is there. He's highlighted.
Kelly's here.
And I think that's it. Yeah, for the board. Stay on up. Okay.
Oh,
And
Matthew, hold on.
Oh,
I
Matthew,
forgot
our new
I knew I
VP
added, I
political.
forgot someone. There we go.
There's Matthew.
And perhaps our past
Our
president.
past president, yes, Alan Bale.
Oh, I can't add another one. This is
Okay,
the
right.
next, so.
Okay, so this is your board. Yay, thank you. Your officers, club officers. Okay, now I would like to introduce to you so you'll know our board, and then we'll get on with it. I know you guys are ready and willing, the judicial candidates, to get on to start speaking. But I would like everyone to know our board. I want to introduce you to Frances Penn, who is our senior advocate chair forever and has the best committee. Really, they are just great, and we love Frances. Where's Frances? Can we highlight everybody, please? And then Frances, there's our Frances. And then we have Beth Lewis, who is doing a fabulous job as our new membership chair. I really so grateful to you, Beth. So where's Beth? Let's add her, please. And we have Joni Gallagher, who is our state and national chair and has been leading our postcarding effort and will be leading these efforts for the club. And she's going to get on you guys. She's going to be bothering you and
Hi, Joni.
getting that going. Okay.
We'll have some fun.
And then
too.
What'd you
We'll
say?
have some fun too.
Yeah. Wait, Jane, don't rush it. And then we have, because I was going to wait for Mark. for
Oh,
as our
no.
last committee here, but that's okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. I will.
I have to go through and do each one at a time, so I was
Okay.
just trying to,
I
okay,
know.
yes, who else?
Okay, so so here we have Mark Salzberg, who is actually, as I mentioned, keeps track of all the Senate elections and really keeps us informed and sends out notices on that. And has also started our newest committee, which is our Environment and Clean Energy Committee. That's already a robust committee, totally, consumed with everything environmental, everything that's going on in our energy, in our climate, in what's really important. And we still want to get our meeting up, the one we had scheduled. It had to be rescheduled because of complications with Congresswomen Julia Brownley and Sydney Comlager Dove. We will be getting back to that. Okay, back to our local issues chair, Connie Thomas.
Hello, everyone.
And our new Ledge Action Chair. That our Ledge Action Committee has been a little dormant for about 1.5 years, but we have a new one, and that is Mike Newhouse coming on as Ledge Action Chair. Okay, so yay, everyone. I don't think I've missed anyone. Have I? Have I missed any? No, I don't think so. Anyway, okay. And then I see Mary Jack up there, and Mary has volunteered to help us host our postcarding parties. That's going to be great. Also, Barbara and Jack have offered to host our parties there too. So we're going to be doing postcards and Prosecco if any of you are interested, or peach juice or something, And also at Sue's, we'll be doing some things at Sue's. So we've got some venues where you all can come have fun and help us get democracy back on the road, keeping our democracy before we lose it. Okay, ready. We're now ready for our forum, our judicial forums. Okay, so let's undo everyone here and we'll get started. Okay, just a second, please. I have to get back to, okay, get back to it. So the first office that we'll be debating here is for the Judge of Superior Court for Los Angeles, and it's seat number 97, and with Shae Henderson and Sharon Ransom. Would you like to spotlight them? There they go. And would you please spotlight Lewis?
One second, let me find Sharon. Sharon, where are you? There you are, thank you. And then I will spotlight our timekeeper.
Lewis, yes.
Lewis.
Gotta get this smaller.
Here comes Lewis. Now Lewis is going to be your best friend at this interviews here, because he will give you your time cards. Because we know when they say 1 minute, 30 seconds, I think it's jarring. So he's going to be holding these up. We've got him spotlighted. Can you both see him?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So Jane and I will be alternating asking you questions. You'll each have 2 minutes for your opening statements. Then we'll be asking you 4 questions. We'll alternate who goes first for each question. You'll have 2 minutes to answer these questions, then a 2-minute closing. Pretty easy. You can keep track on your own phones too if you want. And after the forum today, Election Buddy will be sending out ballots to everyone. You'll have a half hour to vote, and then we will vote on endorsement. It takes 60% for our club to endorse you. So, Ms. Ransom, do you want to begin your opening statement?
Sure, I'll go first. Good morning, West LA Democratic Club. Thank you for having us this morning. My name is Sharon Ransom. I'm running for judge in seat 97. I am running to bring balance to the bench. I have a passion for justice and a passion for equality and the fair treatment of everyone that enters the courtroom. I've been a public servant for over 37 years in various capacities. I began my career as a dispatcher for the Sheriff's Department for 17 years, and I've been a prosecutor for nearly 19 years. But let me tell you a little bit about my background. I was born and raised in South Central Los Angeles. I was raised by a single mom. I'm a true Angelino and a lifelong Democrat. I became a single mom at the age of 21, and I put myself through school at night while raising my young daughter and being a dispatcher for the sheriff's department. I was diagnosed with breast cancer for the first time at the age of 30. I didn't become an attorney until I was almost 40 years old. And I tell you that to tell you that I am very diverse in life experience and in legal experience. Diversity is not just in appearance, but also in thought and in action and what you do. I've been a deputy district attorney for the last 18 years, currently assigned to the mental health unit. And in that unit, we focus on treatment rather than incarceration. I've also been assigned to the victim impact program, elder abuse, and other various departments. I teach project lead to fifth graders to teach them the importance of making good life decisions and about the criminal justice system. I've been involved in Teen Court, which is a diversion program for youth that get in trouble. I am endorsed by the Los Angeles County Democratic Party, SEIU 721, LA County Federation of Labor, Santa Monica Democratic Club, National Women's Political Caucus, Senator Stephen Bradford, over 25 judicial officers. And I am really in Metropolitan News, and I would really like to have your endorsement. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Ms. Henderson.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. My decision to run for judge was based on my experience as a public defender. There are many times that I have walked out of court, my heart being heavy, seeing what was happening on the bench. There have been times where I have had clients who were homeless or mentally ill, and I worked hard to prepare a program. And then when I got in court, the judge fought me, the prosecutor fought me. And it let me know that there needs to be changes in our system. There is a cross-cultural disconnect that occurs. I have been misinterpreted as a Black woman and an attorney in court, and I have seen my clients treated with disrespect and harshness in our system. And I want to fight to eradicate discrimination and to uphold the Racial Justice Act, which involves fighting discrimination and calling out any person in court who is discriminating against someone in a judicial or court proceeding. I was raised in Los Angeles, California. My mother and father raised me with principles of discipline and perseverance. I watched my mother struggle. Our father was very ill. And so by the time I got to law school, my mother passed away my first year, and my father passed after I graduated. So this pushed me into the legal system where I had to fight to become a guardian for my siblings. From there, I became a public defender, and I have been a public defender for 18 years. I have experience. I've done over 50 jury trials and over 25 court trials. I have a passion and an understanding of the law, and I'm looking forward to researching and applying the law with diligence and with equality. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. Wonderful. Okay, so Shae, do you want to take, let me, so take the first question, but let me get it for you.
Okay.
Just a second. Whoops. Okay, so what is your general judicial philosophy?
So I would say that my general judicial philosophy is to not just look at the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law. To when there's times where programs need to be implemented for the homeless or for the mentally ill, really expanding what is there and speaking to every person with respect and kindness. Many times people are intimidated by the system. They don't understand what's going on, and making sure that each person understands their constitutional rights and that things are fairly applied. I also want to expand the use of creative sentencing and also be a part of implementing the laws that are there, which is implemented to bring fairness to our system.
Thank you. Sharon?
Thank you. My judicial philosophy is to treat everyone that enters the courtroom with respect and dignity. I want to be the type of judge that gives everybody the opportunity to be heard, follow the law while using discretion, and also acknowledging the need for public safety. As I said, in the mental health program, we focus on treatment. So I'm very familiar with programs to treat the mentally ill. We have diversion programs where they can go through a program and get access to permanent housing, a permanent medical treatment. Those are the kind of things I would love to use alternatives to sentencing and figure out why a person is in the court. Is it because of mental illness, drug addiction, poverty, lack of resources, and see if we can get to that person at that level and get them a fair opportunity to be treated so that we make better citizens, which will in turn make better communities. I'm the judge that can be empathetic and just really listen and meet people at their level and where they are, and not just treat people as case numbers and something to be sentenced, but truly to see why they're in the system. We're not guaranteed to go to criminal law. We can also go to family law, civil law, dependency, and wherever I'm assigned when I'm elected, I would carry those same values to bring diversity to the bench, empathy, to listen to people where they are, and to make sure that they're treated fairly with respect and dignity. And that's not only defendants, but victims, witnesses, court staff, just everybody, because we can have a collaborative effort to work together. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much. So on the next question, Ms. Ransom, if you could go first. The question is, have the available diversion programs and special courts made a noticeable difference in the levels of incarceration in LA County? Why or why not?
I don't know that they've made a difference in the levels of incarceration because we're seeing a lot of crime going on. But I will say my experience in the mental health court, as I said earlier, our diversion programs are working for some people. No program is fail-proof. But when a person really wants to apply themselves, they get the treatment, they get housing. I've had defendants that come back for progress reports and thank us for getting them in the program because one of them said, I haven't had a shower in 15 years. This is the first time I slept in a bed in 20 years. So we're addressing their mental illness and their homelessness because there is a intersection between mental illness, homelessness, and crimes. So I see in the instance, it works for some people. There are some people that actually give into their drug addiction and their cravings for drugs and they AWOL from the program. But ironically, we give them a second chance to come back if the program will accept them. Because sometimes it's not easy when you've been used to being on drugs for so long to just kick the habit. We think it is, but it's not easy. So we have to work with them. We have to encourage them. My judge is so good about encouraging people to finish the program, and because he's so into their lives that they feel they want to please him. And that's the kind of judge I want to be. These diversion programs work for people that want to, but we need to use them more, like I said, to treat people and to treat why they're in the system, not just that they're in the system, but to really get down and treat them, whether it's drug addiction, mental illness, and things of that nature. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. And Ms. Henderson.
Yes, so although we do have more programs and more diversions, the problem that we're seeing is that in the individual courts, it's not being implemented. So if you're in Los Angeles, you may see more of a trend of diversion being implemented. Whereas if you're in Pomona, that's more conservative, there's not as many programs being given. So as a judge, I would make sure that whatever courthouse I'm in, that whatever programs are offered in other courts are offered in my court. And so we have to make sure that this is applied across Los Angeles County, not just in certain places. And so that's why we haven't seen less of a trend affecting incarceration, because we need all the prosecutors on board. We need all of the judges on board to really address this issue. And so it's very important. I have seen programs assist juveniles with rebuilding their life. You know, I have worked with people who are mentally ill, and I have appointed the mental health worker to work along with me to place women in programs who didn't have anywhere to go, really speaking into their lives. And as a public defender, you get to walk beside people as they make changes. You can go out into the community. I've gone to their programs and talked to them about staying in the program. Don't give up. You know, you can do this, and really partnering with them to help them make changes. So it's something that everyone has to participate in. And I hope that with more diversity and with more people with diverse experiences, we'll see more change in that area.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, Ms. Henderson, continue. How about you please describe one instance in which you faced an ethical dilemma and how did you resolve it?
Well, when you work in a huge office, like the public defender's office, there are times where there may be a disagreement with an attorney on how to approach a case, or there could be a disagreement with a supervisor. And I have learned how to approach those issues diplomatically, to be respectful, but also stand up for my rights if I felt like a supervisor wasn't treating me fairly. And I have experienced that. And I've had to challenge that and file a complaint and then speak to their supervisor about it. And I was able to speak up, handle that issue, be respectful, but also stand up for other attorneys who were being abused and making sure that we were being treated fairly, even in the office. So I've had to approach those things with kid gloves, but making sure that I speak up and let my supervisor know if people are being mistreated.
Thank you. Sharon, Ransom?
Thank you. So two instances come to mind. I am on the 24-hour search warrant duty unit, where I stay up for 24 hours and get calls from officers that want me to approve their search warrants before they go to the judge. So I had one instance where an officer called, sent his search warrant. They had stopped an individual driving a car, and he had bullets in the car, and he was on probation. So they wanted to search his car for the gun and his hotel room for the gun. And they also wanted to extend the search to his girlfriend's car. So when I went through the warrant, I asked him, why are you asking to extend the search to the girlfriend's car? He said, because it's possible that he has access or he's driven the girlfriend's car. And I told him, that's not reasonable. It's possibly he's driven my car, but I'm not going to issue a search warrant for you to search my car. So I think that he wasn't happy with it, but I didn't feel like there was enough of a nexus for him to look for a gun of this particular individual to go into his girlfriend's car. And when you do things like that, you're not popular, but it's the right thing to do. Another thing is, I had a case where a guy was accused of robbery and he took the bus to work in Beverly Hills. Something about the case just didn't sit right with me, and I was fairly new. And in the district attorney's office, if you did things like go to your supervisor and say, I don't think I can prove this, and even more, I don't think he did it, it was frowned upon because it looked like you were trial dodging. But for me, I'm older and I don't play into the game. And so I'm never going to try to convict someone that I don't think did it. And so I'd rather let, one guilty man go free than to prosecute an innocent man. So I went to my supervisor and told him that I don't think this guy did it, and I don't think that we could prove it. And I was prepared for the repercussions, but I had a reasonable supervisor that listened to me, and we did not proceed on that case. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Jane, I think
so, yes, from Ms. Ransom, your turn first this time. You alluded earlier, I believe, to the different kinds of courtrooms that are in the system. For example, there are criminal courts, civil, dependency, etc. Which type of courtroom do you feel you are best suited for, and why?
I would love to go to the mental health court or dependency court. The mental health court, I've learned so much. Before I was assigned to the mental health court, I was only in criminal court, prosecuting cases. But the mental health court, I love the collaborative effort that we have there with the prosecutors, the defense attorneys, the doctors, the judge, the social workers. We all come together to see what's best for the person that's in our court. And I like that collaborative effort. Like I said, I'm about not just institutionalizing or incarcerating people, but trying to make them better. And that's a court where we do that. Also in dependency court, there's a chance for, like I told you my background, there's a chance for young African-American children, people of color, to come and see me as a judge and see when you have these instances that you're born with that you feel like are hurdles and obstacles that you can't overcome, to look at me and see where I came from. I share my story with everyone. As a single parent at 21, I was told I wouldn't be anything. I was going to be on welfare all my life, and I proved them wrong. And I want people to understand you don't have to come from money or have parents that pay for you to go to school. You can do it. You're given the right opportunities. And I think for children that are in the system to see me and how I've become somewhat successful in what I'm doing, I would love to do that. Either of those courts would be my favorite. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Henderson.
Yes, so I love the study of law. So I'm really open to do probate, family law, juvenile, wherever they place me, because I love legal research. My all-time favorite is working with kids. So I actually am an adjunct professor at Pepperdine, and I'm teaching juvenile rights there. So I love working with kids, defending kids, motivating children. We lost our parents at a young age, and so I really had to pour into the life of my siblings. And that became a ministry for me. So I work with kids at my church, kids in my community, motivating them that they can make a change and that they can stay out of the system. So ideally, I would want to do juvenile delinquency and work with the kids and place them in programs and mentor. I also have done civil contempt law, where you're dealing with probate, you're dealing with family law. So I believe that I would be a really good candidate for family law, because in family law, it's a lower standard. So there's a lot more documentation that comes in versus criminal. So that's a really fascinating area to work in. Dependency, I could do that as well. That's a little more heavy because you're looking at parents' negligence, but I think it's important to evaluate that and make sure that kids are safe. And so I really, really enjoy wherever I am. So if I were to do criminal court, my desire is to focus on preventing recidivism by speaking into the lives of the adults and letting them know you can make it, that there's a second chance in life and that you can rebuild. And so I believe that I could really work in any area and do well because I have the heart for people.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So that concludes our questions. Now we'll go to the 2-minute closing statements. Ms. Henderson, you're up first.
Thank you so much. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about my experience. So I have worked in misdemeanors, I've worked in felonies, and, oftentimes, I'll just give an example. I remember I was working in juvenile court, and as an African-American, I'm defending my client. The minor is African-American, the parents are African-American, and I saw the judge just visage change towards us. And she was yelling and talking to us like we were less than her. And it just broke my heart. The client went into custody because he had lied about graduating. And I really felt in my heart, if he had been white, they would have given him another chance. And those experiences really have left an indelible mark in my mind, that we have got to be focused on removing all of the systematic racism, the slavery mentalities and mindsets that are still tracing in our system, and address each person equally and look at each person as a human being. I also, studying juvenile rights and working at Pepperdine, I got the opportunity to train other attorneys, future attorneys, on how to fight for justice and to own their experience and speak their voice and be able to stand for justice and stand for what's right. And so in the public defender's office, I also have done a lot of racial justice litigation and working on motions, fighting for equality, advising attorneys around the state how to file these motions, and encouraging judges to research the history of mass incarceration and look at changes that need to be made in our society. So I know that I am a great candidate for judge, and that I will spend my life just pouring into the lives of people and really involving our community and restoring our villages. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And Ms. Ransom, your closing statement, please.
Thank you. So representation and diversity do matter. We are in a time where of the nearly 600 judges in Los Angeles County, less than 5% are Black women. But when you look at the people that come through the court system, a lot of them, over 90%, are minorities, people of color. We need to have more diversity, judges that understand where people come from and what their issues and problems are. Like I said, I've been a prosecutor for 18 years, and I became a prosecutor when, like, now it's not hot to be a prosecutor. There's so much in the news about prosecutors, but I became a prosecutor at a later age because I had grown up in Los Angeles and seen injustices and seen the police, how they operate. I have a younger brother, and my mother would allow my brother and his friends to hang out in our garage with the door closed so they wouldn't be a target for police or gang members. And so I see what was going on. And then further my career with the sheriff's department, seeing how a call originates for service and people are screaming for help and the police sending the police there. And now actually being a district attorney, seeing it come full circle. We need diversity. I have a lot of experience. I've not only been in mental health, but also in elder abuse, where I prosecuted cases of elderly neglect, financial abuse. We need to look out for our vulnerable citizens, victims, defendants, everybody. Our system is not just about mass incarceration or what happens with defendants, but also their victims. Victims have rights, witnesses have rights, defendants have rights. And as a prosecutor, I look out for all of those rights for everybody. And I will be that kind of judge that considers everything in its totality, not just what is going on now, but in the community. Keep abreast of things going on in the community, to stay abreast of the law, and just be that kind of judge that is fair and effective and seeking justice. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. As Cara alluded, there will be a ballot at the end of the day, and she'll be in touch, or one of us will be in touch with you to let you know the outcome of the ballot. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. Have
Thank
a
you,
good rest of
lady.
your evening.
This is going to be difficult. You're wonderful. Thank you both very much for coming and sharing your insights with us. Okay, so next we have seat number 137, and we have 3 Democratic candidates running. And as I think I pointed out before, it is so important for us, for our voters all across the city and county, actually all across the country, to know who the Democratic candidates are, who the Democrats are running for office, because we are the ones, I think, with a heart for social justice, and how important it is to have someone with a heart for social justice to be on the bench. So now we have.
This is Barbara and Jack. Unfortunately, we have to leave for another meeting, and we hope we can vote, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you very much for coming. Maybe you can kind of tune in on your phones so you can at least listen to it if you could. You can get on. We can let you back in.
All right, thanks.
Try and get on your phones. Yeah. Okay, some of us do that. Okay, so thank you. So now we have Michael Berg, Tracey Blount, and Luz Herrera. So do you want to spotlight them, please?
They are spotlighted.
They are, sorry. I'm sorry. So you each have 2 minutes for your opening statements, and then we will ask you 4 questions, alternating who goes first for each question. Jane and I will be alternating asking the questions, and you'll have 2 minutes for each answer, and then a 2-minute closing. And as I said before, we will be voting on this endorsement after the final speakers this afternoon.
Cara, what seat is this?
This is seat number 137.
Thank you.
Thanks. And yeah, everybody, please take some notes here so that when the ballots do come into your mailbox, if you are voting members, you remember who you're really voting for. Okay. So thank you. So let's start with opening Miss Herrera.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. I'm sorry I might be floating in the background here because I'm at a friend's house, and so don't want to show their house. I am really excited for the opportunity to talk with you. I grew up in the east side communities of Los Angeles County, went to high school and have a family home in Whittier. I grew up there with immigrant parents. I also was born in Mexico, was naturalized in 1994. And became a Democrat at the time. I have been committed to public service and throughout my career, beginning with high school, doing all of the things that student government leaders do, right? Like going to hospitals and working with the elderly. And then I went on to Stanford University and Harvard Law School, where I continued to work with communities. For me, law has been a vehicle to give back. And my commitment to public service has translated in the law to advocating for greater access to legal services, specifically for immigrant communities and individuals that don't understand our system. I come from a community that is often afraid to go to court and to talk with lawyers. And so part of my interest in running for judge is to have individuals that look like me on the bench to help people understand that the courts are and should be about them and their exercise of democracy. And given everything that's going on in our society, there was definitely an interest in getting involved. This is my first time running for office, and I'm excited to be able to continue to advocate for greater access to legal services. I thank you for the opportunity to talk with you and look forward to our conversation this afternoon.
Thank you. Michael Berg.
Am I on mute yet or no? I'm
Oh, you're
sorry.
good.
I'm good. My name is Michael Berg. I'm a criminal defense attorney and victims' rights attorney. I really want to focus on the things that I would do as judge. First, I'm a big believer in mental health diversion. I am this, and I've done a lot of mental health diversions as a criminal defense attorney. But because of one of my clients who called 911, said he was going to kill himself, and LAPD showed up, and he was standing in the street with a large knife. LAPD decided to take matters in their own hand and try to apprehend him. It didn't end well, as he started chasing the LAPD officers with the knife. Per the police report, they were going to use deadly force, but one of the partners was in the way, and the officer couldn't shoot, so they tased him. I met him for the first time at arraignment at the first court date, and he had no recollection of what happened, and he was an utter mess. I convinced the judge, and the judge didn't have to do this, to release him to a mental health program and substance abuse program. I eventually filed a mental health diversion, and once again, the judge didn't have to grant it. He did, and 2 years later, I got the case dismissed, and that client I met at that first date doesn't exist anymore. He's a productive member of society, he's sober, and he has his mental health under control. The judge could have said no, and then what would have happened? He would have gone to prison. A lot of judges would say no, and he would have gotten 4 years. In 2 years, he'd be out, and you'd have a dangerous person pushed out on the street with no help or anything like that. I'm also believing holding police accountable. I file motions all the time to exclude evidence. Judges routinely deny that, not just for me, but for all criminal defense attorneys. Police need probable cause to stop somebody or a warrant. And judges routinely deny these motions, even when the law is clear on my side. And all this does is lower the bar of standards for police officer conduct. If the judge agreed with me, the officer would be like, oh, I can't do that again. But now it keeps on going lower and lower because they keep getting away with it. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Tracey Blount.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. I'm Tracey Blount, and wanted to let you all know I've been a registered Democrat for 38 years. I have also helped other Democrats in their campaigns by canvassing, by making phone calls, by sending postcards. I really believe in this party and its ideals, and our democracy is at real risk, as someone commented early on in this meeting. So these types of forums are extremely important. I'm here because I want to be a judge, and I want to keep serving my community. And I say that because I have worked for a county counsel's office for the past, over 20 years. I was a paralegal with county counsel before I was an attorney, and I work in the dependency courts. And dependency courts deal with child abuse and neglect. I have been in dependency. I was in dependency court for 12 years, every day practicing. And now I work at the warrant desk, where I process removal orders for social workers who seek to remove a child because they're at risk. Our courts do not send people to jail. We reunify families. We order services for families, including counseling, rehabilitation programs to make a healthy environment for a child to return to. I also serve in my community. I have been on the board of the Joan Macy School, which is a non-public school for hard to place youth. I was the foundation chair and teen advisor for Jack and Jill of America. And I'm in a sorority whose motto is service to mankind. So all of this is about service for me, and that is why I'm here. Thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you. Thank you, all three of you. We'll have I'll take the first question, then Jane, and the order will go is Mr. Berg, then Ms. Blount, then Ms. Herrera. Question, and you'll have 2 minutes to answer. Have you mentored, empowered, and/or supported women, Black, Indigenous, Latino, AAPI, and LGBTQ plus people in your career and in your campaign?
Well, in my career, I take a lot of times. Besides, I have 2 daughters, so I'm always very empowering of women. But I've taken many people to court, who usually they're high school students who want to see what is it like to be a criminal defense attorney. And I all the time, all my neighbors and people ask me, kids from school, from my kids' school, they're all want to see what it's like to be a criminal defense attorney. I take them to courts all the time. They get to see firsthand how it is. I don't know if they ultimately want to become criminal defense attorneys. Maybe after they see what I do for a living, they may not like it. But I do, anyone who comes to me, whatever race or nationality or gender, I do help them and show them the ropes. And even new attorneys, if they come to me, I will take them to court and show them how this is done. Thank you.
Thank you. Who did I say was next?
I think I'm
Blount.
next.
Yeah. Sorry.
To answer your question, yes, most definitely. Being an African-American woman, I think by example, I am, conveying to those that appear in court that there is a possibility of them being an attorney. But beyond that, I'm in Black Women Lawyers Association. I'm in the Multicultural Bar Association, which is comprised of bar associations of every race. I'm on the Inclusion and Diversity Committee for my office. I am the lead of the Attraction and Recruitment Committee subcommittee for IDEA, which is Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Anti-Racism. So my role is to reach out to the community, and under my leadership this year, I'm expanding that to not only include law students, but high school students in underserved areas, so they can see, we're setting up kind of a career day type event. So these schools in LA Unified can see what the opportunities are in the legal career, not just to be an attorney, but to be a legal secretary, to be a clerk for a judge, to be exposed to what is out there, what opportunities are out there. So my outreach efforts, I go to schools, I talk about what I do, and I hope to influence young ladies and young people about that so that they have hope for what they can do. So that's part of what I do in my daily life.
Thank you. Ms. Herrera.
Thank you for this question. Mentoring others has been just central to who I am and my career. And partly it is because I had great mentors. As a first generation student that went to college, I had to rely on mentors to be able to get where I am today. The ways in which I've mentored individuals have been very concrete. One is that obviously there are networks, that personal and familiar networks that you have. And so anybody who's interested in law, they find their way to my number or my email, and we set up times to talk. There are not too many women, Latina judges in Los Angeles County still. In fact, I believe I'm the only one that's running in this particular race in the whole county. And so a lot of people end up with my phone number calling me. But as I went into law practice, I also set up a nonprofit in Compton, California called Community Lawyers, Inc. And there was a formal mentoring program for law students. and also have done a lot of work with paralegals, particularly from places like Cerritos College, East LA College, and Rio Hondo College. So we mentor them to continue careers in the law. And so there have been countless folks in the last 18 years that I've worked with. I've also set up a number of programs through my involvement with law schools with a number of not just Latina students, but women of color and LGBTQ students as well. And so mentorship is quite important and central to who I am and who I will continue to be as a judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Jane?
Sorry, I was listening and I almost forgot to unmute myself. Hi, everybody again. All right, so the order on this question will be Ms. Blount, Ms. Herrera, and then Mr. Berg. What is your understanding and opinion of LA Superior Court's new bail schedule and why it was changed?
We have to tread lightly regarding questions like this. So I'm going to keep my answer general just because if issues like this come before us, you know, I think you understand.
So it's a sort of a personal, I mean, like what your personal opinion is, but yes, tread where you need to tread.
Okay. No, my personal opinion is I understand the philosophy behind it because basically penalizing someone by keeping them in jail because they don't have money. If that's since that's the philosophy behind it, it's kind of inherently unfair because if you don't have money to bail yourself out, you're stuck. But if you do have the money, no matter how much that is, you can leave and, you know, be free to be in the community. And that is, and it's, like I said, it's inherently unfair to penalize someone for poverty reasons. So based on that, my opinion is just that it's inherently unfair. Like a lot of things that go on in the community with people who are underprivileged or poor, and they aren't able to, I'm trying to just be careful of my answer, that's all. And they aren't able to, you know, take advantage of what someone who has the money. So the playing field has to be leveled. And I believe that that was one of the ways that the playing field was leveled with regard to bail. Thank you.
Thank you. And so Ms. Herrera, you're up.
I'm not going to disagree very much with Ms. Blount because I'm not sure you're going to get a different answer. I think reform was needed because there was absolutely a discrepancy in how bail was applied in our communities. And I do have personal history with that because I had my father's youngest brother was a drug addict. So he often ended up in prison. And since my dad was, you know, the person who owned the house, he was the one that always had to go post bonds for his release. But there are, I will say that I believe in holding people accountable. And I think it's important to make an assessment of whether anybody's posing a danger to the community. But I believe that the bail reform was necessary. There are tweaks that we might have to do as we see how it's implemented, and it's not always working in the way that folks might envision, but changes needed to be made. And generally, I think they're good. As always, we have to be careful of what we say, but it's important to consider the discrepancy that existed before some of these bail reforms came in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Berg.
Yes, I'd have to say we have to tread lightly on this topic, but I will say it seems like my experience with bail is that it's really a false sense of security. My clients who have lots of money and my clients who don't have a lot of money equally commit the same amount of crimes. Just because one of my clients has money and can bail out, that doesn't make anyone safer. It's exactly the same whether he bailed out or they just released them. And that's why I think it's a false sense of security. But the current bail, but contrary to I think what most people, what you would hear is that everything's just book and release. My clients, you know, on minor crimes are booked and released and they get a court date in the future. But a lot of them still have to bail out or they're stuck in jail. because of how the system is. I mean, sometimes because of the way the system changed, if it's such a serious crime, they say you're too much of a danger and they won't let you bail out. And that's also, I think that's also a problem. But I've had clients have to take deals because they couldn't afford bail in the past. And no one should have to be forced to take a deal because they don't want to miss work and lose their job, because their job is more important than the case. And the system needed reform. I'm glad it's reformed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next question. And let's do Ms. Herrera, then Mr. Berg, then Ms. Blount in that order. Please describe one instance in which you faced an ethical dilemma and how did you resolve it? Ms. Herrera.
Sure. So I work with a team of attorneys currently who, work with law students. We go through about 80 to 95 students a semester that we're training them and working with them in a number of ways. And so I've had to really talk with folks and think about, as a person who helps manage the team, have to think about how we handle data, how we handle confidential information. And so just this week, I had to have a very difficult conversation with some of the members of the team who are using online platforms that don't comply with all of the ethical requirements that we have set forth. And so for me, it's really facing things head on, making an assessment. We're always balancing how do we make this easy for the lawyers and the students who are using it and interacting with the clients, but also thinking about how do we maintain that important duty of confidentiality to our clients when we have so many people coming in and out of our clinical program to be able to provide the services. And so for me, it was really about having to have individual conversations with some of the other attorneys who have, created a different process outside of our sanctioned processes to deal with this work. And so those things can be difficult because there's no attorney who wants to be accused of not following their clients, protecting their clients' confidential information. But it's really approaching it in a way that makes sense for our institution, for our program, and specifically for the clients that we represent.
Next.
Yes, I think back to one of my clients I got a midnight call, and he was actually with another one of my clients, and they were on a drug collection, going around collecting money for their selling drugs, and one went bad. And apparently one of my clients started wrestling with the guy who pulled the gun out, and like a movie, as they're wrestling, the gun's going off over and over and over again. And my other client who went with him got shot. And so after this is over, he calls me. He's like, Mike, what do I do? We don't want to get in trouble. I'm like, I can't advise you on how to violate the law or get away with it. The only thing I can tell you is you've been shot. You need to go to the hospital and get medical treatment. I'm not a doctor. I can't give you any legal advice here. But go see a doctor, please. Another one I had actually a couple weeks ago was my client called me when he was doing a high-speed pursuit. He was on the freeway. CHP was calling him. He's like, Mike, what do I do? What do I do? I'm like, pull over. I'm like, what you're not gonna, there's no getting away. Pull over. It's only gonna get worse. Whatever it was that would be a small misdemeanor is now going to be a big felony. So please pull over. And he did.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
Yes, in response to that question, I will first say that when I was at the DA's office, they trained us that if you have information that's going to get someone off, you turn it over. Don't hide the ball. Don't get yourself in trouble. Turn it over. And if you lose the case, so be it. And I took that with me throughout my entire career. And in the dependency court system, I have been working on call with social workers on the weekends, late at night, kind of like a search warrant type duty. And we get calls about everything because it's about child safety and it's LA County. So we get calls about, issues with kids and what should we do. And especially if there's been a child death in the county, all the social workers are kind of on high alert and, kind of trigger happy to detain kids because they don't want to get in trouble or a child to be hurt. So there are times where I have to say, you can't just detain a child because of whatever reason you want to detain a child. There has to be a child safety risk, a real child safety risk. And that's the advice that I give. And this happens on a continuous basis because, it's the Department of Children and Family Services and we advise them. And those are ethical dilemmas that I would say I face, on a pretty ongoing basis because social workers don't want to get in trouble and they don't, of course, want children to be safe. So I have to advise as to on the case-by-case basis, what is the appropriate thing to do and not just take a child out of the home because of any reason. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. The next question, the order will be Mr. Berg and then Ms. Blount and then Ms. Herrera. There are concerns about quote unquote regional justice, meaning that there are different results depending on where you are in the county. How will you work towards making sure your decisions as a bench officer are always equitable?
So yeah, I see this firsthand. In places like Lancaster and Pomona, even the office, even under the current administration, the officers are very different. And sometimes in Torrance, I have cases, and even in Torrance, Lancaster, Pomona, that are charged as felonies that if I were in downtown LA or many other courts would be misdemeanors right off the bat. So I can't do anything about charging. And sentencing is also usually much worse in those courthouses. Now, I do believe it is changing somewhat, but it's still bad. In fact, if I were elected, I would request to go to those courthouses just so I could help change that. And what I would do is I would talk to other criminal judges, find out what's happening, because I'm not a criminal defense attorney anymore at that point. So I'm going to be in one court. So I'm not going to have see what's happening throughout the county. But you talk to judges in other courthouses, find out, hey, what's going on in these types of cases, and find out what basically make a level playing field so you don't have these horrible cases in Lancaster that are like nothing burgers in downtown LA. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. And Ms. Blount, you're next.
Yes, that is a real issue. I do have a friend who's a head deputy for the alternate public defender's office, and she works in Pomona, as Mr. Berg mentioned. So I hear, and she's not the only friend I have there, but I do hear about the discrepancies that in sentencing that happens in different areas. I myself, as a judge, don't feel like I have a choice. I have to follow the law. That's what I've been doing. That's what I will continue to do. I just feel like that's the only way. But I know that other people don't feel like that. And I think that there has to be a sit down on this issue with the judges, starting with, the top down to advise the judges and really come down to them and say, this is happening in your courthouse, and it's not happening, in this courthouse. Like Mr. Berg said, downtown LA is going to be you might get a different outcome than Pomona. So it's got to come from administration and supervisors to say this is a problem that has to be dealt with, because otherwise the systemic part of the racism and doling out of unfair sentences is going to continue. And that's how I see that problem should be addressed.
Great, thank you. And Ms. Herrera.
Well, judges elect the presiding judge. And it's ultimately, I think, important, it's up to the judges to elect presiding judges and leadership who believe in equity, right? And presiding judges who have a platform to be able to equalize how we apply the law. And so I think as a judge, that's my primary tool to address this issue, is to try to support those presiding judges who know the problem, understand the problem, and are committed to resolving it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we have your 2-minute closing statements, and I guess trying to address things that we haven't asked you, and asking for our vote. So we'll begin with Ms. Blount and then Ms. Herrera, and we'll close with Mr. Berg.
Yes, I would like to thank you all again for having us. I think this is extremely important that people know who they're voting for and what we stand for. As I've said and hopefully conveyed in my answers, this is about service for me. I have grown up in a family that serves. My grandfather came from the West Indies in Jamaica. He was Indian. He moved to New York, and he became extremely involved in the Democratic Party back when you had to kind of pull people out of their house and, you know, take them to vote. We'd no social media back then. He was my hero. He was an example that I heard about growing up. Service. That's what my family is about. I have dedicated my career to service in the county council's office. I could have gone to any other division. I chose dependency. I've stayed in dependency because, to me, child safety, child abuse and neglect, that is of the utmost importance, and no slight on any other area of law. But that's brought me the most gratification, and I sincerely have had the best judges who have been my example. I want to follow in, you know, their footsteps, make them proud as a judge. Also, just to let you all know, I have been endorsed by the LA County Democratic Party, the Metropolitan News, the West Hollywood Beverly Hills Democratic Party, several other organizations. I have been vetted by the LA County Bar Association and found to be well qualified, not just qualified, to be a judge. But all that aside, I want to serve. This is my assignment, to be a judge, and I would hope for your support to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Herrera?
Thank you again. I'm excited about the opportunity to run because there are not too many people that I know who get to run and are judges, and also have the experience of working not only with a range of clients and a variety of practice areas in the civil area of law, but also working with unrepresented parties. And I spent a lot of my career both in my own practice, through my work with community lawyers, and in law schools, working with individuals that don't understand the legal process and how to navigate a summons when they get it. And I think that type of perspective is really critical in Los Angeles because our courts are overrun with unrepresented litigants. And I hope to continue to be a mentor, a role model, and to be able to continue my path as an advocate for greater access to legal services, as that has been my mission and the driver behind all the decisions I've made in my career. So thank you for the opportunity, and I ask for your endorsement and support as ballots begin to hit your mailboxes this weekend. I had friends that already got their their ballots yesterday. So thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I'm a criminal defense attorney and victims' rights attorney who's been in court literally every single day, minus a COVID year, in just about every courthouse in Los Angeles, San Diego, Riverside, San Bernardino. I've been to Santa Barbara and even down to Imperial County. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of judges. I've seen good judges and bad judges. And I've seen enough that I can run a courtroom. I know how a courtroom should be run. I have a passion for mental health simply because that one case, it kind of woke me up about it and not just doing the normal mental health motions that I do. I wish I didn't, because if we had a system set up where an alternative to being charged with a crime, and I know the care courts have just started, but there's only 80 cases in the care courts. It wouldn't have to get to me. But I am one person and I can do one thing at a time for each person who comes into my courtroom. I do want to say I am endorsed by LA City Councilman Tim McCosker, Laura Friedman, Bob Hertzberg, Mike Gatto, Dario Fromer, and many other judges in LA County. I thank you and consideration for your endorsement. Thank you very much. And I am a Democrat.
Yeah. Yeah, so you wouldn't be here, trust me. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We appreciate you coming out, and I'm really happy to hear from you. I think you're all very well qualified, in my opinion. And so good luck. And
Thank you
everybody
very much.
write down who you're liking here, and we'll see you later. Okay. So our next group of candidates isn't scheduled to go on until 12:45. They'll probably be here a little early, but I'm thinking maybe we'll take a break. It's lunchtime, Maybe we'll take like how about like a 5-minute break here? And if our next two candidates are here, then we'll resume with things are just going really well. We're going a little faster than we had anticipated. So we'll see you all back here at about maybe like around 12:40. Does that sound good? I could use some food myself. I'm really hungry. So, and if you just want to stay on and talk, you're welcome to do it. I'm happy, but I've got to get something to eat. So I'll see you in say 12:40. Okay? Thank you. Well, hello. I'm back. Looks like most people are back. I don't know if Jane is. And let's see if our guests are here. Let's see. We have Stephen Mack is here. Hello, Stephen.
Hello.
And Georgia Huerta's here. Terrific.
Good
Terrific.
afternoon.
Yeah, so good afternoon. And let's bring in Stephen Mack. Where are you, Stephen? Just had you. Here we go. Thank you. So this is our next group of judicial candidates. We have Georgia Huerta and Stephen Mack. They are running for seat number 135. I don't know if you were here for you've been here for a little bit, Stephen, I think. Georgia,
Yes.
I don't know that. But hello again, Georgia. And so what we'll have, you'll have really 2 minutes for each block. You'll have 2 minutes to open your statement. Then we'll be asking you 4 questions alternating between Jane Wishon here and myself. And then a 2-minute closing. And you could time yourself on your end if you want. But Lewis, your best friend here, Lewis Watanabe, is he's our timer, and he's got these wonderful cards for you to just glance at. Good, thanks, Lewis. And rather than interrupting you, which I find a little jarring. So I think we'll have you start your, wait, let me see. Got to get my questions up here. Start your questions. Mr. Mack, why don't you begin your opening statement when you're ready, and then Ms. Huerta. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for having me. I'm running for judicial office number 135. I'm running to continue service to my community and bring the perspectives of a community that has faced challenges, obstacles, and burdens to build a new life in our great country. Organizations that have shared my view are the SEIU, the LA County Federation of Labor, the Stonewall Democratic Club. I'm so very proud to have their endorsements because they are the strength of our community and show the progress that our community is working towards. My parents are refugees of the Vietnam War. They made their first home in South Central Los Angeles, where I was raised. They worked as a waiter and garment factory worker to raise their family. I attended Berkeley on an ROTC scholarship and joined the U.S. Army. I was an intelligence officer. I'm currently a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve. I have 20 years of service. I deployed to Afghanistan in 2012 and served as a legal advisor for congressional appropriations that oversaw our military operations. I came back in 2013 and started working as a deputy DA. For the past 5 years, I've prosecuted murders that happened in the neighborhoods around MacArthur Park. Before that, I was also a defense attorney. One of my proudest jobs was representing soldiers who came back from Iraq and Afghanistan with issues of mental health and drug issues. I defended them when they were accused of misconduct by the U.S. Army. This important perspective, both growing up in LA and bringing a perspective about the systems and communities around the world, is a perspective I will bring to court. Based on this wide range of experiences, the LA County Bar Association has rated me well qualified for the position. I hope my commitment to service will earn your endorsement today. I'm Stephen Mack. I'm running for judicial seat number 135.
Thank you. Ms. Huerta?
Yes, I am running for seat 135, and thank you for having me. I chose to become a lawyer, and I chose to become a lawyer to help my immediate community and eventually help society as a whole. And I am continuing that desire to serve my community by running for judge. As I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, I witnessed firsthand. I didn't have to go anywhere to see it. I saw it firsthand in my neighborhood, how people were not treated with dignity and respect because they were people of color or lived in a poor neighborhood. And I even saw my neighbors committing crimes against each other, and it just wasn't right. And I decided to do something about it. So I decided to become an attorney and a deputy district attorney because I felt that's where I could do the most good. I have spent over 3 decades serving the people of Los Angeles County as a deputy district attorney. I have gained valuable experience that has equipped me to assume the position of a Superior Court judge. I am well versed in the laws of the state of California, their rules, their procedures. As a filing deputy, I filed cases that were actually heard by the judges. It was their caseloads, and I filed thousands of cases. So I know what a Superior Court judge is required to do and what kind of cases they face. I have been a master calendar deputy where I was more or less like an administrator, where I was required to administer and make sure the calendar ran effectively and efficiently. That's what a judge does. I've done that all my career. I have been endorsed by the Los Angeles Democratic Party. I've been endorsed by East Area Progressive Democrats. I've been rated well qualified by the Los Angeles County Bar Association, and have been endorsed by North Valley and several other clubs. I have had over 3 years direct experience in alternative sentencing court, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you both very much for your opening statements. The first question, Ms. Huerta first and then Mr. Mack. What is your general judicial philosophy?
Well, my general judicial philosophy is that to follow the law. Now, laws change, and as laws change, then the judge has to be able to change as well. You cannot be of the mindset that this is the way I've always done it and I'm not going to change. But by the same token, you can't make up your own rules. You can't make up your own laws as you sit on the bench. So my judicial philosophy is this: I will definitely follow the law. I will be open and encouraged to follow new laws, whether or not they contradict with past laws. And most of all, I will keep my own personal opinion and bias out of the courtroom, what I personally think, because that is irrelevant and should not be used in any matter, in any way in reaching a decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mack?
The most important philosophy to me is this quality of listening and hearing what people in our community have to say when they come into our courtroom. The purpose of a judge is very much that, to see and understand the conflicts that each side has. And once you listen and hear that, the process of the courtroom is to apply procedures, make discretionary rulings, apply the law so that the conflict that you first understand can be resolved. That is what the purpose of our judicial system is to bring in the most difficult and important issues that affect an individual, hear that issue and problem that affects and has great impact on lives, and resolve it in a fair way. And that's the most important quality I bring, that I will bring, and is one of the foundations of my judicial philosophy.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So the next question will go to you, Mr. Mack, and then to Ms. Huerta. Have the available diversion programs in special courts made a noticeable difference in the levels of incarceration in LA County? Why or why not?
So my experience in diversion programs started when I was a attorney in the U.S. Army. There's this saying that we have. It's called recovering a soldier. Recovering a soldier means that when someone makes a mistake and does something that requires our input, that they be given a chance to come back into the U.S. Army. And the reason for that is because our Army spends a lot of resources and time in caring for soldiers. And that's the same philosophy that we should have as a society. Each one of our community members are important and add valuable parts of their experience and their contribution. And diversion programs in the court systems have not been big and wide enough to do that. There are ones that I believe in, which are the drug diversion programs, the mental health diversion programs, and the veterans diversion programs. But I believe that there are so many more areas of our community that we could focus on expanding programs for. The court system is a barometer of how our society is functioning. When our court system is overwhelmed with cases, it shows that there needs to be some improvement in our society so that those resolutions happen in the community, happen in other ways, and not within the confines of court. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Huerta.
As it relates specifically to Los Angeles County, I have direct experience in it. I've been a deputy DA for over 30 years. So over the years, I've had some contact with it. But I have spent 3 years working in our alternative sentencing court, the community collaborative court. So I've worked day in and day out. And I can tell you in that particular court, the court is geared to help veterans, people suffering from homelessness, mental health illness, people who are victims of sex trafficking, substance abuse, and young adults who grew up in the foster care system that did not have a family safety net. And I will tell you that there is success and there has been improvement. Is there room for more? Definitely there's room for more. Just look out on our streets and we know that. But I can tell you in that program, the judge, myself, the defense attorneys, the individuals from the different agencies, we work tirelessly to find homes, to get education, to provide medication. And yes, there was success. And yes, there was a reduction. And I can tell you that I believe the biggest reason for that success was because of the judge. You know, you have to have accountability. We have programs, and sometimes these programs are not accountable, and they really don't help the people that they should help. But this judge required programs to come into court and explain to her why they did not do what she asked them to do. We had individuals graduating from this program who's never wore a cap and gown before. We had individuals where we were able to find housing for them, to get medication for them, because medication costs money. So yes, these programs do work. Yes, I do think they have made an effect, but do we need more? Most definitely, we do need more. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Huerta and then Mr. Mack, please describe one instance in which you faced an ethical dilemma and how did you resolve it?
Okay. I was a new deputy district attorney working in Compton, and I was in the middle of a trial. And I had an individual walk up to me and wanted to talk to me. Well, I had to let them know that I was a deputy district attorney and not a defense attorney. But they said, no, I want to talk to you. And they told me what the officer had just testified was impossible, and they could not have seen what they said they saw. In Compton, I was in Compton. She told me, go look for yourself. I'm African-American. Compton is a basically African-American neighborhood. I felt comfortable going out. So I went out to see. And you know what? She was right. He could not see what he said he saw. I came back. I went to my head deputy. I told my head deputy what I had done. And my head deputy asked me, what are you going to do about it? And I said, I'm going to court and I'm going to dismiss the case. And he said, you're the deputy. You're assigned to the court. Do the case, do what you feel is right. And that's exactly what I did. And I'm glad that happened to me early in my career because it gave me the confidence that I can do the right thing, that I should do the right thing, and I can stand up for myself. I had a judge once tell me my sentence was too tough, and my sentence recommendation was too tough, and he was going to speak to my boss about it. I told him, go ahead and speak to my boss. It was my decision based on the evidence and the facts of that case that was the basis for my recommendation, and I was not going to change it because a judge thought it was too lenient. So I have had some challenges. I've been in the system quite a few years, and it has not always been rosy, but I am a deputy district attorney. I am there to do what is right, and that is exactly what I am going to do. And I will do that as a judge too. I'm going to do what is right. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mack.
I've been a prosecutor for the past 10 years. There's been many situations where I've dismissed cases because I find out facts that show that someone was not involved or involved to a lesser degree. I've dismissed cases and completely changed charges to lesser charges based on the evidence. But the most difficult situation ethically I've been in was in the U.S. Army in 2012. I was a legal advisor overseeing what our operations were doing in Afghanistan. Our unit took over for a unit in that was stationed in Kandahar, and I found out that that certain obligations that the prior unit had put into place did not comply with our mission and the legal framework that was in place based on President Obama's plan for the country. And as a young officer, I could have stayed silent and I could have done nothing. But what I did was I first formulated a plan, made sure that I was correct. I started to build consensus by telling other people who may not have had that issue on their focus. And I brought that to the general's attention. And for me personally, I felt like it was a very career risking move, but it was also the right thing. It was the right thing to do. And that was a change that caused tremendous turmoil. And very many people came to me and said I was wrong. But I had the support and consensus of the people I talked to, and ultimately the consent and the agreement of the general over the entire unit. And after a course of 6 months, we were able to correct the differences in procedure and decision-making of the prior unit. And that's the most proudest moment in terms of my career and most important thing I've done in terms of responding to an ethical issue.
Thank you so much. Okay, the final question, Mr. Mack and then Ms. Huerta. We know there are different kinds of courtrooms in the system. For example, criminal courts, civil, dependency, etc. Which type of courtroom do you feel you are best suited for and why?
I currently prosecute the most complex murders that happen in Los Angeles. Multiple defendants over the course of time, multiple victims in a part of LA that there's very, very little cooperation because of distrust of our government. But I'm well qualified to sit in a criminal court, but I would like to sit in a family court or a civil court. And the reason for that is because of my experience as a legal assistance attorney. A legal assistance attorney represents soldiers who have individual legal problems. And I saw how important and how difficult things can get for individuals when faced with child custody, family issues, issues that hamper their day-to-day life that it's not the biggest thing for anyone else, but is the biggest thing for them. And I feel like sitting in a family court or civil court and making those individual decisions that help resolutions to those disputes that really hold or burden people for years is a tremendous contribution to our community. Although I'm well qualified and I have the experience of sitting in a criminal court, I also have the diverse experience of both addressing civil issues, family court issues that will serve our community.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Huerta.
Yes, yes, the depth of my experience is in criminal law, but not only that, I am a community person. I would like to sit in civil court because I believe that there's more of a direct contact with the community. Civil cases are not brought by the government. They're just regular, everyday people who come to court with the hopes of getting something resolved. That's why they're there. The majority of them are not represented by attorneys. They're in there doing the best that they can. be it regarding a housing issue, a contract issue, or whatever it is. It's just everyday people. And I am an everyday person. I think common sense is essential in our criminal justice system. And common sense would be essential in a civil courtroom. I've had relatives who had experiences with not foreclosures, but with evictions from housing. And the judge hearing those cases made a really big difference, especially when they were more diverse and they had more lived life experiences as to what the individuals before them were experiencing. And that's what my community service has provided me with life lived experiences that the community has experienced. So I would like to be in civil court. I have practiced very little civil law, but I'm intelligent. I can learn. I've been in 4 different other units in the DA's office. That didn't stop me from doing the job there. So going into a civil court, that's not going to stop me from doing the job. And I believe I have the basis to do that job because I am community orientated. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, then why don't you continue with your 2-minute closing statement?
Well, I just want to say, because you have my statement, as a judge, I'm confident that I can positively contribute to our system, regardless of where I am placed. I believe our justice system, be it civil, criminal, family law, whatever, is under attack. And we need people there who are willing to put in the hard work. And I'm really putting in that hard work. It's not perfect, but nothing's perfect. We're all working toward that perfection. And I think I can do good work sitting on the bench. As I said, I believe my life lived experiences are essential. You know, a judge has to care about the community. They have to care about people. It's easy to just look at the rules and follow the rules, but there's more to being a judge than that. You got to have compassion and you got to have some empathy for people. And I do have that. I bring my diversity, which I think is lacking to some extent on the bench. As you can see, I'm a woman of color. I did not have a privileged upbringing. I have seen some of the unpleasant things that have happened in our society, but we need brave and confident people to deal with those things. So I believe that I would be an effective and a very good judge for the people of Los Angeles County, and I will be able to continue to serve them in that respect. Thank you.
Mr. Mack.
Thank you for everyone's time and attention. I'm reaching the end of my military career. I'm eligible for retirement and I have 2 or 3 more assignments before I'm forced to retire under mandatory retirement. You start thinking about what to do in terms of continuing service. And I hope to continue service as a judge. But what I think about being a judge is what I think about being in the Army. I hate the Army. I hate that we have to do that there is a purpose for that. But I love being in the Army because I want to contribute to service. That's the same thing I feel about being a DA. I hate that this job even exists, that there are things that we need to prove in court, the most tragic things. And I imagine that's how I'm going to feel about being a judge, that I'm going to hate why we need to do this. But I hope my service has shown through that I will do what I am equipped to do the best I can to bring service, justice, and fairness to the community. I've shown that through my military service, my mentorship of first-generation students, and I bring a perspective not just of LA, where my parents are refugees, we've been evicted from our homes, we've moved around LA many times, a global perspective from seeing the many different just systems of justice and societies. I hope that LA is a model for the world, that us as Democrats, and it's the reason why I'm a Democrat, is because we could work together and show that how LA LA County and California solves our problems is how the world should solve its problems. As together, as a community, listening to the very many ideas that are important and coming to a decision that is best for our country and our democracy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank both of you very much for coming and giving us your time. And as we said, we will be we'll be sending out the ballots probably now at about 1:30 and maybe maybe 1:40. And then as soon as they're all back in, we will be announcing the results of who gets our endorsement or if no one gets our endorsement. Okay, so we'll be letting you know anyway. So thank you again for coming here. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Very welcome. So our next set of candidates are here, and they are Christmas Brookens and Keith Koyano, and they are running for seat 115. Seat 115 for the judicial seats. So you want to bring on, we've got Keith, and do we have Christmas here? Let me look.
Yes, I am here. I'm on the iPhone.
Oh, okay, there you are. That's great. Okay, thank you. So as you might have heard if you've been here for a little bit, you both have 2 minutes for your opening. You have 2 minutes for everything. 2 minutes for your opening statement, 2 minutes for each of the 4 questions, and 2 minutes for your closing statement. And that's it. So how about, oh yes, and so what I just said, that as soon as we're finished with your race, we'll be sending out the ballots, and our members will have half an hour to vote, and then we'll be announcing the results of who gets our endorsement, or if no one gets our endorsement. Okay, you need 60% to get the endorsement, which is pretty high. Okay, so why don't we start then with Mr. Koyano, and then we'll go to Ms. Your opening statement. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Keith Koyano, and I'm running for judge because of the importance that due process plays in my life and because of how important the right to be heard is to me. I was born into an immigrant household that connected 2 different cultures. I'm half Filipino and half Japanese, and my parents came here searching for brighter opportunities in the wake of World War II. I quickly learned that many people would not accept me as an equal because of my mixed race background and the way I looked. These realities became much more vivid when I was diagnosed with a rare bleeding disorder that kept me separated from other children because I constantly was in fear of the possibility of bleeding to death and the very fact that just touching me would result in severe bruising. Fortunately, that condition went into remission, but I was faced with another challenge when I entered teenhood, and that I was diagnosed with severe scoliosis, which required me to wear a back brace from the age of 14 to 21. I never felt like I had a voice until I served jury duty on a very serious case. I had always been sidelined and prejudged based on my ailments and sicknesses, but I was surprised when 11 other jurors from different backgrounds and who looked different from me asked, "Keith, what do you think?" That was my calling in the courtroom, and I went to law school seeking to be a voice for those without voices. I cut my teeth as a defense attorney where I defended clients in every county from Ventura all the way down to the San Diego border with Mexico. I later became a prosecutor where I served underprivileged communities from South Central to Inglewood to Compton to Long Beach, all throughout the heart of Los Angeles. I'm running for this office because I want to be a fair, balanced, and empathetic bench officer that serves all of us as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Christmas?
Thank you. My name is Christmas Brookens, and I'm running because I believe in a diverse, equitable, and inclusive judicial system. As a foster youth, I was deemed unadoptable because I was female and African American. At the age of 5, I was labeled hard to place due to my age. And at 12, I ended up living with someone that suffered from severe mental health issues and addiction. As a result, at 16, I left New York for California, and I left everything and everyone I knew behind. Because of these experiences, I'm passionate about not reducing people to a page in a folder, not prejudging someone, and treating people as individuals and human beings. I believe in not stigmatizing mental health and addiction and giving individual access to services, but respecting the emotional state of loved ones who are often victims of some of these incidents and traumatized, in which they feel afraid and helpless and in need of services themselves. I believe in giving people opportunities to be seen, to have a voice, and to be heard, just like I was given later in life when I had the opportunity to serve my country in the Navy as an aviation electronics tech, and then a Mandarin Chinese linguist. This enabled me to transfer as a non-traditional student and finish my education at UC Berkeley and then Pepperdine School of Law and joined the DA's office at 37. I've been a deputy district attorney for almost 19 years. I've been assigned all over LA County. I've worked in the Sex Crimes Human Trafficking Division, the Victim Impact Program, and now I work as a grade 4 calendar DA where I supervise younger trial DAs and manage an extensive caseload, and I determine settlement agreements, including alternative sentencing. I am endorsed by the LACDP, Stonewall Democratic Club, SEIU 721, LA Federation of Labor, Citizens for Accountable Leadership, West Hollywood Beverly Hills Democratic Club, National Women's Political Caucus, and was rated well qualified by the Los Angeles County Bar Association. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to ask the first question, and just a sec, let me move this over just a bit. I'm having some trouble with my question screen. Here we go. And then we'll start with Ms. Brookens and then Mr. Koyano answering this question. And then after this, Jane will take over for the following 3 questions while I get the ballot ready for distribution. So, Ms. Brookens, what is your general judicial philosophy?
So my general judicial philosophy is empowerment. William Glasser once wrote that the ultimate use of power is the power to empower others. As someone who grew up a part of the system, as someone who was a runaway, as someone who served our country, I've seen the effect of empowering others. And that is something that I've taken to heart as a DA. And that empowerment can be including giving someone a voice. That empowerment can be recommending alternative sentencing. That empowerment can be sitting on the floor with a 9-year-old as she's going through emotional states because she's about to testify about something she should never have to testify about. And that empowerment is also being the face of an organization or a system. So for me as a DA, it's not just about doing my job or prosecuting the case. I understand that every time I interact with anybody, be it someone that's accused of a crime, be it a victim or a witness or someone from the public, I'm the face of the district attorney. And therefore, I also act as an ambassador because that empowers people to feel comfortable and safe within the courtroom. And that is something I will continue to do as a judicial officer because that is also an important role. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Koyano?
Thank you, Kara. My general philosophy is actually quite the opposite of running for political office and speaking out loud before big groups. It's to actually listen to everybody with empathy. What I've gathered over almost 2 decades of public service is that everybody who enters the courtroom is seeking justice and the right to be heard. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have different issues that we wish to be heard. But there's that universal question of humanity and that expression of humanity. And I think it's important for bench officers to listen to everybody and to make sure that everybody is given that forum on an equal basis. I have had many heart-to-heart conversations in uncomfortable, difficult situations in jail facilities with both clients and as well as people who have committed serious crimes and are seeking leniency. These conversations often are life-changing conversations where people's lives are going to be turned upside down, or the ramifications of their decisions require them to leave their families, to leave their homes. And these conversations have to do with lost loved ones where people have been killed and the ultimate loss can never be reparated. I think that ultimately a judge has to listen to everybody, has to listen to everybody with an open mind, and has to make sure that the opposition does not quell the speech of the opposing party. That is really the hallmark of what I wish to bring to the bench. Everybody should enter the courtroom and feel welcome to express themselves and to make sure that I express and explain my reasoning and the analysis behind my decisions, because these decisions are going to affect people. They affect people on an emotional and physical level, and it's important that we listen to all. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, and so starting the next question with Mr. Koyano and then Ms. Brookens. How have you mentored, empowered, and or supported women, Black, Indigenous, Latino, AAPI, and LGBTQ plus people in your career and in your campaign?
So all throughout my career, ever since I finished law school, I have always made it my point to be a mentor because of those people who mentored me. One of my biggest role models was Mia Yamamoto. I met her before she made her transition, and I met her when I thought that I wanted to be a DA. And she gave me a very important lesson. She said, "Keith, you may want to be a DA and you may want to be the hero, but what you need to do is you need to listen to everybody. You need to treat everybody equally. And even if the brand label that you associate with is telling you to do something, if that turns out to be wrong, you make sure to do the right thing because your credibility matters." And that moment of mentorship has always stuck with me because she was always kind to me. And it was always something that I sought out given my personal background. Later, when Mia transitioned, the criminal court system is a very small system. There was a lot of trash talking behind her back. Of course, that never happened to her face because she's very well respected. But the way I conducted myself, I understand that everybody can express themselves, but when people talked behind her back, I think they were often shocked because when she came into the courtroom, she got a hug from me. And the way people conduct themselves sets the tone for all parties. And I'm comfortable with everybody. Most recently, we were having a little bit of difficulty in court as a whole because an old-fashioned judge who was standing in was dead naming a particular defendant, and the defendant was not responding to the judge. I took it upon myself to take things into my own hands, and I addressed the defendant by the name that she wished to be addressed by, and it quickly made things so much smoother. It's setting the tone like that that really helps communities that are underprivileged and underrepresented, and that's how I will conduct myself.
Thank you so much. Okay, and Ms. Brookens.
Thank you very much. As an African-American female and a member of the LGBTQ community, I always take it upon myself to educate people. I've been in too many places where I've been either the first or the only one in that community, in that space. In my career, throughout my career, I have taken it upon myself to mentor younger attorneys by participating in either moot court or trial advocacy programs where I act as a judge and take that time to explain what I do as a DA and why it is important that they enter this field just as much. I've also worked with Habitat for Humanity, in which I help, I'm going to just say paint houses because they've tried to give me a hammer and a nail, and I'm not very good at that aspect. but I do what I can in order to help address the housing issue and talk about talk to the individuals who will be taking part in getting that house and understanding what got them to that position and what we can do to continue to help people. As a ACE, an asexual and a member of the LGBTQ community, I always make it important to educate people. And one way I address having people not dead name other individuals in my court is to remind, before even that individual walks into the courtroom, to remind my judge and to remind the staff of, you know, hey, we had this person in court before. This is how they choose to identify. Let's keep that in mind and take our time, slow down. And if we have to use their legal name, because sometimes that's what we have to do, to take that time to explain. And then as we continue working on the calendar, use their the name, their chosen name, as what they identify as. So for me, it's always an education process. And it goes back to that idea that I said of being an ambassador. And that's how I help to mentor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and we'll let you continue now with the next question. Please describe one instance in which you faced an ethical dilemma and how you resolved it.
So I think the incident I'm going to have to pick is when I was assigned to sex crimes, human trafficking. And in human trafficking, I deal with minor and adult victims. And if you've ever been familiar with their field, with minor victims, it's extremely hard because they are often runaways like I was. They've often experienced trauma like I did. And they have no support group like I did not. And thus, they often have a lot of faith in their traffickers. But the consequence for being a human trafficker is dire. It requires sex registration and sometimes for life. It is something I take very serious as being a victim of a sexual assault myself. So I am very conscious of making sure when I interview someone who's a victim and letting them know that it is not their fault, it is not their doing, they are not to be held responsible, and it's more than about prosecuting this case. I'm there to help them. However, I had a case in which I had to go to several interviews in Orange County, and I spoke to an alleged victim. And the more I spoke to her, it became very clear to me that there was a chance what she was telling me was not true. And I had a victim rights attorney. I had a human trafficking attorney. And we met several times because I wanted to make sure, because I know how detrimental an emotional state can be if it was true and I was not believing it. So I had to continue to investigate it. Eventually, there was enough things to support that it was not true. And I could not go forward with this case. And I had to sit there and tell her that I could not go forward with this case because my alleged accuser was also 21 years old, and I could not affect his life like that. And it was one of the hardest things I had to do, but it was the right thing to do.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Koyano, same question.
So I'll share two experiences. The first was a very difficult experience. It was the last case I defended as a defense attorney. I was defending my client against homicide charges in the Riverside County Courthouse, their headquarters, and the case had dragged on for years, but my client was being dragged into ruins. Ultimately, I had to make a decision as to pushing the case forward, and it was very clear that the presiding judge did not want the case to go forward and that the DA did not want the case to go forward. It was a Friday afternoon, and I had to stand my ground. I had to indicate that we were not waiving my client's constitutional speedy trial rights and that we needed to move forward. Doing so was actually answered with being sent to a different courthouse in the far reaches of India, freeway therapy for my client. It was a tough sell for my client because I had to explain to him that we had to take this risk. Ultimately, justice prevailed and our hard work resulted in a misdemeanor conviction down the road as opposed to state imprisonment, but that was very tough. Another instance happened more recently where a detective with whom I had a personal relationship in terms of friendship, it was unfortunate because I had to put him on the Brady list because reports came to light on a very serious case that indicated he had lied decades before as a patrol officer. And although it did not affect the case that I was working on because all of the investigations were recorded at the time, as a DA, you have to do what's right. And when you find information that points the finger at somebody being untruthful, you do what's right. And it was very painful. That friendship is now over, but the right thing has been done because notice has been given and due process will be served for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and so Mr. Koyano, if you could continue, and then Ms. Brookens will have a chance at this question. There are concerns about quote unquote regional justice, meaning that there are different results depending on where you are in the county. How will you work towards making sure your decisions as a bench officer are always equitable?
I think that's a great question. And ultimately, what I will do is I'll draw on my experience, regardless of where I'm assigned. I think it's important that I've handled the most severe cases that involve losses that cannot be fixed. The reason why I think that's important is it gives me a framework with which to consider all crimes that are presented before me, all issues that are presented before me, and to consider that without consideration as to a particular courthouse's practices or what seems to be the norm for that community. Ultimately, we will be judges for all of Los Angeles County, and we need a uniform system of justice that treats everybody equally and equitably. So I think that the experience that I have dealing with such severe cases puts me in a good position to use that breadth to make sure that I listen to the issues that are presented and adjudicate them appropriately. More than anything, I have also worked in a variety of areas within the county. I have seen what happens in South Central, what happens in Inglewood, what happens in Compton, and what happens in downtown LA. And I've also seen what happens in Torrance. I've seen what happens in Beverly Hills. I've seen what happens in the Valley. There are disparities, I think, in certain cases, but we need judges who have seen those disparities, who will address them and make sure that everybody's treated equally. I think that there has been a push as of late to make sure that this is the case, but we need reminders with the bench officers, and we need well-versed and well-traveled bench officers who understand that those are possibilities. I will draw on that experience. I will always keep that in mind in terms of rendering the decisions that I make in court if I'm successful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Ms. Brookens, same
Thank
question?
you, thank you very much. Like Mr. Koyano, I have traversed LA County, and it is not strange to many DAs or defense attorneys that each court has a certain title based on what decisions are made in that particular court. And it's not strange to the individuals in the community. I think someone said in an earlier interview that one of the things we need to focus on was, and I agree with her, judges elect the presiding judges. They elect who the presiding judge is. So I think there has to be, first, it's a threefold thing. One, we have to be, once we become judges, more aware of electing a presiding judge who believes in a universal policy in the court. Two, we cannot put people in boxes. We have to treat individuals as they are. Each case is different, but as a calendar DA that I deal with every day, one thing I do know is that I have statutes and regulations that allow me to assess certain mitigating factors, and that is mitigating factors that is accessible to every judge. And every judge should be looking at that and determining, hey, how do we handle the facts of this particular case, which I think would create a more universal standard at how we handle certain things. And three, yes, I think you need judges who have experience working in these different courthouses in different areas, so they understand this disparity that happens sometimes in the judicial system. So I think combining all of that together will help us take a step forward. It's one of those things where society and the law is always evolving. And so we're always going to find new ways to help improve things. One of the things I've always wondered and talked about is—
Sorry, but that's time.
Okay.
But you now have first crack at the closing statement. So if you want to finish that thought in your closing statement, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So to finish that thought, one of the things I've always wondered is how come we do not have access to a system that enables us to check countywide really what's going on in each and every courtroom, so we can be consistent and beneficial to those that are accused of a crime, and we can treat them better. I would like to thank you for having me here today and for your consideration, for your endorsement. I believe my lived experience is extremely diverse. You know, as a calendar DA, I listen to everybody every day. And one of the things that I constantly hear is that a lot of people, be they a victim or accused of a crime, feel like there's no purpose once they find themselves in the system. And that is why my philosophy is about empowering them. We can rehabilitate, we can give people programs, but there has to be a purpose beyond that. A lot of people have told me that, you know, DA Christmas, because that's what they like to call me, when I'm done doing my time, my support system that I had before I went in is completely gone. And now I don't know what to do with my life. And that's why I find myself back here. So I believe we can improve the system. I believe we need to work to improve the system, but by empowering people and giving them opportunities and leaving no one behind. And that is why I'm here asking for your vote and your endorsement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and Mr. Koyano, the final word is yours.
Thank you so much for taking the time out on your Saturday to listen to all of our qualifications. I think what sets me apart from all of the other candidates is the immense support that I've gotten from opposing counsel. The Defense Bar of LA County has come out in droves to support my candidacy, and I think that says and speaks volumes given that my current role is as a deputy district attorney. Throughout my life, I have struggled with feeling like I'm an equal with other people, and I've always kept that in mind in terms of the way I treat people in court, whether I'm prosecuting them or whether I defended them. I always listen to them, and I think that's the hallmark of a good bench officer. To that end, I've been endorsed by over 50 Los Angeles Superior Court judges who in turn came from very different backgrounds. They have watched me in the courtroom. They have presided over trials that I have conducted, and they've seen my interactions in the courtroom. Ultimately, although trials are what we think of in court, I think the most important thing in a bench officer is to encourage conversations between opposing parties. It's awfully easy to go to war with each other over the conflicts that separate us, but we really want to move forward, and we really want to move forward in a constructive fashion. And I think the judge sets the tone for whether that conversation occurs, whether attorneys are reminded that it's their clients' hearts and souls that are really going to be affected by these decisions in the courtroom. What I bring is calmness and my demeanor to the courtroom, which I think is often forgotten when we come into court wanting to express ourselves. That's what I would really like to bring to the bench, and that is why I'm seeking your endorsement. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you to you both. In just a handful of moments, Cara will send out the election buddy to all of the members who are present here. And I'm going to post the LA Bar rank, we call them ratings. I noticed that you're both considered well qualified, so I will, but I'll post that in chat for everybody. So thank you so much for coming, and Cara, you're on.
Thank you both very much. And the ballots are just sent. I just sent out ballots to everyone who is here on the call. a member in good standing. I know several people signed up that did not, for some reason, come on the call, and because you were not here, you will not be sent a ballot. We need everyone to be present and hearing the candidates before we send out a ballot. So I just got my ballot. I'm going to vote.
Okay, and I did just post in chat. It's a long link. I don't know why it's so long. But it's all the ratings from the Bar Association.
Thank you so much, Jane. You're doing a fabulous job, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Back to my ballot here. Don't have to highlight me while I'm voting.
Oh, okay. You want me to unhighlight you?
Unhighlight me while I'm voting, yeah.
Okay. And so will election buddy close it at a set time, Cara? How long do we have to
Yeah, and
vote?
it's from the West LA Democratic Club, and we will be closing at 2 o'clock. It gives you all 25 minutes now to vote. And you'll open your ballot for your West LA Dem Club ballot, and it says to vote, visit, and it's secureelectionbuddy.com. So you click on that, and then you've got your ballot. Your
And the
ballot.
good news that all of our candidates today are rated at least qualified. So we
Yeah,
didn't
it is.
have anybody today who was not rated as qualified.
And had to explain why. Okay, here we go. Oh. Oh, okay. Just a minute, I see. Let me finish voting, Wendy, and I'll get a ballot out to you. I didn't see you.
Wendy came in partway through our final set of candidates.
I don't think I got a ballot, Cara.
Oh, really? You're on the list. I'll make
Where
sure.
where do I find it?
In your inbox, it says West LA Democratic Club.
Oh, am I okay? Got it. Sorry.
Oh, you thought it might be here on the call? No,
Yeah, for some reason
that's all right. Okay, I'm done. And if I would ask, and it's really an honor system, but if you didn't hear the candidates, if you came in after you missed a race, please abstain from voting for that race if you can. Please don't vote no endorsement because that counts as a vote. And it's better that you just
skip
abstain.
that race.
Just abstain. Yeah. Skip that one. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Wendy. I'm going to send you. Joni, did you get your ballot?
I gotta scroll again.
Okay. All right. Just
West
a
LA
minute.
Dem Club.
Yeah, I haven't-
There we go. I sure do. Thank you.
Oh, good. I haven't received mine.
Who is that?
It's Matthew.
It should be in your inbox, Matthew.
I'm looking. I'm looking. It's not in there, unfortunately.
Mine came in at 1:35.
All right. Excuse me. I've got to add here.
If you've got sub mailboxes such as I do in Gmail, it may show up in a different sub box.
Yeah, I had that problem.
As it did for me.
Okay, so Wendy, I'm going to add you now.
Which is why I did away with the sub tabs. I kept losing things in those other
Excuse me, Jane.
tabs.
It's Wendy. What is it?
There's
It's
always the possibility that
excuse
it may
me.
end
Hey,
up
hey,
in
hey,
your
you
trash
guys,
or
you
in
guys,
your spam
you
also.
guys, excuse me. May I? Wendy, is Wendy, what is it? Wendy Free? Rosen Free? Wendy?
I think I saw those.
I think it's Rosen Free, but oh yeah, Rosen. Okay, I got it. Thank you. Okay. Okay, you should be getting it now.
I'm not receiving. Jesus.
Hey, I'm waiting for lots of people. I'm not going to call your names, but I can see who's voted and who has not. So
Unfortunately,
has
mine-
anybody, Mike, your email is undeliverable.
Kara, should I stop the recording?
It shouldn't be. Straight.
That's all right.
I've been getting emails all day.
Uh,
There might be a letter off or something.
yeah, I'm going to check it.
Nope.
It said it bounced. Okay.
Yeah, having the same difficulty. Checked all emails and haven't received.
Okay, let's stop for a minute the recording. And so those of okay, so thank you all. You voted. I have the results. Let me pull them up again. Just they were here a second ago. And those of you sent me your votes, and if it makes a difference, I'll let you know. For Judge of Superior Court, seat 97, Sharon Ransom won with 79% of the vote. Probably maybe 83% of the vote because everyone else who didn't get their ballots voted for her. On Judge of Superior Courts 137, we did not have an endorsement. Tracey Blount had the most vote, had 50%, but you need, as you know, 60% to win. So that is a no consensus race, 137. 135, Judge of Superior Court, Georgia Huerta won with 66.6% of the vote. And Judge of Superior Court, seat 115, again, it was a no consensus between Christmas and Keith. Christmas was close. She had 56.5%. Keith had 43.5%. So we have another no consensus race. So it's no consensus, seat 115. Georgia Huerta, seat 135. No consensus, seat 137. And Sharon Ransom, seat 97. So that's it. I thank you. Thank you very much for attending, and I'm really happy. I hope to see most of you again tomorrow. Again, we're starting at 11, and this time we're going right into the Judicial Forum. We've done our club business. I did want to ask you all to perhaps support Sydney Comlogger called and asked if our club would join in a virtual phone bank for calls to New York for Tom Squozy, who we've sent postcards to, as I think I mentioned. She's doing this combination phone bank with her, Zoe Lundgren, and Sarah Jacobs, who's from San Diego here, all three congresswomen. And so they're putting together a phone bank. And I really would, it's not my favorite thing to do. I have to tell you, my favorite is knocking doors and then doing postcards. But if Sydney Comlogger asks, I can't say no. So I would really ask you to join me. Maybe you could email me privately in the chat or publicly to let people know that you will join me in this effort. And then I'll get you all the information. It's on the 7th, which is what, Wednesday night, I believe, right? The 7th? Does anybody know? Nobody?
To New York, so it would have to be in the afternoon, wouldn't it, Kara?
Yeah, I just want to know the date.
Yeah, but
The 7th is Wednesday. Yeah. So that's it.
Yep.
So if you would like to join, please let me know. You can just let me know.
What
if you
time,
email me.
what time will it
I
start?
don't know. She hasn't given me the particulars yet. But as Jane said, if we're calling New York, telling them to get out and vote, then, you know, it would be earlier in the day because I don't think you call people past 7 at night. So maybe it's like 3 in the afternoon, 3 or 4. But I'll publicize it. I guess I'll send an email out and hope that we can do this. Hope at least like 10 of us can get on anyway. Make a little showing. So that's it. I think
Bye.
that's our,
Thank you, Cara. This is great.
I think so too. I really was
Really
impressed
good.
with these candidates. I think it's hard to choose
It is.
Thanks,
really
Cara.
hard.
Jane, you did a great job as usual.
But it's great to be able to see them and hear them.
Yes, I
It
agree
makes a
with you.
huge difference.
I agree with you. I think it does make a difference. I think you get a sense of demeanor also. You know, who you would like judging you if you're in a courtroom. I think that makes a big difference. So
Bye.
anybody want to say anything? Anybody else want to come on and say bye or anything?
Bye, everybody. See you tomorrow. And we're
Thank
doing
you.
LAUSD 1 tomorrow.
Yes, those of you who are in George McKenna's
Oh,
district.
we're doing one? Oh, I definitely need to be there for
One
that.
tomorrow morning. Yep.
You should be, thank you, Jane. You should be most interested in this because that's big shoes to fill.
Yep.
And we have 2 women that I've heard before from on our committee on county committee. I'm on the candidate interview committee on county committee. And we heard from these candidates that are speaking. So one of them will be your new LAUSD member.
Is the
Yep.
custodian coming?
Only 2 are coming.
Oh, he never shows up at anything. That's so.
Is that Khalid?
Yes.
I talked to him. I gave him the time and the date. Whoops, hold on one second.